dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. First, at the outset, I would like to thank Engineer Chandale and his team from Geospatial Media for giving me and my team of scientists from DTRL a platform and a forum to discuss our work with such an august gathering here. Ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, at DTRL, we have got a team of 50 young and energetic scientists who are working in the different aspects of geospatial data gathering and different types of analysis. There are different types of jobs we do for the armed forces and different types of products we release for the armed forces. In fact, we work with a mission to empower the armed forces with the advanced geospatial intelligence, and of course we have got a mission to develop the cutting-edge technologies to extract the high-end data, especially for the terrain evaluation, create geospatial infrastructure to provide timely and relevant and accurate geospatial solutions. DTRL is one of the most premier labs of the DRDO, where we actually are a domain expert in all the things related to the terrain, be it the problems of permafrost, be the problems of landslides, be the problems of map making across the border. We all deal with all these issues at DTRL. And of course, as you all know, basically we are a repository of various types of geospatial databases on all those inaccessible areas which are of interest to the defense forces. And of course, we also produce various types of thematic maps, stratigraphy maps. We also have land use maps being generated for them. And all this basically help the armed forces in increasing their geospatial capability. In fact, broadly I can classify the areas of work into 4 categories. The first is the terrain evaluation using remote sensing and GIS. We are basically into the remote sensing and GIS, and we use all kinds of remotely sensed data. Starting from, we have been using Landsat, we have been using then IRS and all, even Cartosat and WorldView data to foster the capabilities of, then we also have a division working on terrain dynamics, where the wheel and the ground interaction is studied. We have got a set of equipment, so a set of instruments which have been designed, where we study this interaction, we incorporate this interaction in our trafficability maps, and we give sort of a quantitative basis to our analysis. Then we also have the modulation and simulation of terrain. Different types of softwares are being produced, which are really, very user-friendly. The software which are almost they are inexpensive. They are tailor-made to the requirements of the armed forces, and they are being produced, they are being worked upon in our lab. And these softwares, basically, they will be sort of disseminated to the various user agencies over a period of time. In these softwares, basically, they are actually, based on the user's requirement. We interact with the users on almost daily basis, get their feedback, and we try to modify our software and make them as user-friendly. Aim is to make that Jawan who is sitting in that particular vehicle to use our software with great ease or something. So this is the way we are looking at our future role and our present capabilities. Then we also have a division working on natural disasters. Remember, the natural disasters play an important role in all kinds of combat preparations, because as you all know, all our armed forces are deployed all along the borders. There are n number of natural disasters which afflict the troops. You have the landslides, you have avalanches, you have rockfalls, you have crevasses, you have cloud bursts, and you have got all kinds of earth flows and mud flows. So all these are basically impediments to the movement of the troops. They affect the traffic gravity, and these are the ones which are being studied in greater detail at my lab. So we have a division working on this. And of course, we have got another competition aspect there. There are some software engineers. They try to sort of extract the terrain parameters using different analysis techniques, and they try to sort of enhance the capability of the trafficability maps. They try to sort of increase the interpretability of these trafficability maps. So these are the 4 broad areas of work we actually work on. Of course, these are some of our stakeholders. When we actually do the work, in fact, we are also assisted by various people who are also basically contributing to our efforts. So our main users, they include the military directorate, MO directorate, then military survey. Then Border Roads is one of the agencies which we actually deal with then ArtTrack, WARDIC, and National Disaster Management. We have certain projects in collaboration with NDMA as well as in GSI. Of course, we also deal with the academia, different types of sub-projects are given to them. We also have our own people trained at different academic institutions which are flashed on the slides. We also deal with our sister labs, the DRDO labs, basically LRD, CARE, and CBRD. But there are different applications they have in mind which involve the application of terrain, which involve the utility of the terrain. And all those terrain related issues are reflected to us, they are basically referred to us, and we contribute in that particular aspect. Of course, we also interact with various institutions like ADRIN in Hyderabad, CBRI for landslide studies, of course, and of course there are certain vendors also, certain private agencies which also contribute to our effort. There are quite a few projects which deal with various aspects of terrain. The project on GIM, the Geointelligence Mission, is a mission mode project which actually aims at producing the very high quality, high resolution thematic maps across the border, because we deal with that kind of terrain. In fact, we have to build our strategic database. To build that database, we need to get the data from the other side of the fence. That for that purpose, actually, we need to have remotely sensed data of different satellites. We are also working with DigiGlobe, also getting the data for very high resolution mapping. So we produce very schematic maps, the stratigraphic maps for them. We also produce the topographical maps. We also produce some slope maps and ostrich maps and hill shading also. Some value-added efforts are also being done so that the people at the other end of the spectrum, they feel happy about using them. So this is the kind of work we are doing under GIM. Srishti, in fact, we talk about the selection of big sites, then various aspects related with the terrain traffic in a riverine terrain. So that those aspects are basically covered in with the Srishti. Ursuti was a very landmark project for us, which dealt with the landslides in Uttarakhand area. In fact, this is something which I must say that it has made me proud, because basically this is the first time in India we could install an early warning system, an instrumented site, which produced very good results last year. In the subsequent sessions of this particular symposium, some of my colleagues will be presenting their work and they will be discussing all the aspects in greater details. In Project Thar, actually we are working on the Thar Desert on the other side of the fence, whereby we are collecting information, we are gathering the data, geospatial data, we are updating the maps, we are preparing traffic maps for all kinds of vehicles, track vehicles, or wheel vehicles. Pishta is something which has got a very different role altogether. It is basically user-oriented mission mode project which deals with the area analysis reports which are being submitted to the MI Directorate. The reports basically, they update their own database on a periodic basis. And one recent addition to our family is the project Himan, whereby we are going to collect the hyperspectral data which will be subsequently used for preparing a terrain traffic library of various features in different types of terrains, deserts, mountainous terrains, riverine terrains, coastal terrains. All of them will be in a position to at least be a national sort of repository of the library of various features using this hyperspectral data. Our products include the maps which are of interest to the armed forces, particularly across the line of you can say border, then traffic lighting land use maps. We also have generated groundwater potential maps in the desert areas to the armed forces, off-road traffic activity, landslide hazard generation maps. These are some of the inputs, these are some of the very good products which have been actually delivered to the DGBR, and they have been appreciated by one and all. So these maps basically, they have helped in identifying the areas which are landslide prone. Of course, there are some softwares. These are the softwares which will be dealt with by my colleagues in due course of time, maybe next few this thing. So we'll be talking about the kind of software we have developed, which is a tailor-made requirement of the Army, very user-friendly, based on OpenGIS, and of course the infiltration sensitive zone software, which is a very good software which can be used by even border roads, which can be used by BSF, which can be used by the armed forces, basically to delineate the areas which are highly prone to the insurgency. So depending upon the factors of terrain, depending upon the factors of psychological in nature, the behavioral in nature, all these aspects having been taken into consideration, a comprehensive software has been developed, which will be demonstrated by my colleague maybe in a day or two, tomorrow. So these are some of the softwares we are working on. Then of course, we actually aim at being the center of excellence in geospatial technology and intelligence over a period of time. So we would like to use terrain as a weapon, terrain as a deterrent basically. And of course, there are different types of applications we would like to develop the softwares for. Impact of climate change is one of the most emerging areas these days, gentlemen. In fact, it's not only the plains which have been affected, it's the mountains which are being affected. Mountains, not only the civilian population, even our own, my brothers in uniform, they are also being affected to a large extent. So, how the climate change is impacting the lives of the soldiers, how it is impacting their combat capabilities. It is one of the topics which I have taken up as a research work, and of course I'll be discussing some of my work in this field. Of course, terrain profile analysis for the traffic update analysis. Then some of the software SAS 1.3 version has already been released. The most advanced version, which might give you a 3D view also, a 3D analysis, will be developed by next year and will be delivered to the armed forces. The idea is to have the entire information on the tablet or in the form of mobiles, where the Jawan using the entire thing in the field can have access to this geospatial data. This is something which we are working on basically as a part of defense spatial data infrastructure also. The data interoperability of different formats and their multi-sensor image fusion. Some of my colleagues are working in this field. So they will be sort of they are discussing their work tomorrow. So this is something which we have already done, basically the geospatial framework using very high resolution mapping across the border. And there are certain features which have come up recently. We have updated the maps, and they have been the maps have been updated, and a useful advice has been given. We are also into thermal imaging. We have already carried out certain missions whereby different features have been examined from their thermal signatures point of view. A library is being built. Some of the processes are being developed. The people are already in job, so we will be in a position to at least give a good kind of advice to the armed forces, particularly in the night capabilities. They can be enhanced by using the data in the thermal region of the electromagnetic spectrum. We are also into the microwave, whereby the regolith mapping, particularly for the landslides, can be done with effect. So this is something which we have already talked to you about. The unique attempt is being made to create a hyperspectral imaging library to enhance our capability in terms of traffic activity analysis. This is something which is very unique, an early warning system for landslides. We have taken up basically one landslide near Joshimot area, which has been instrumented, which has been sort of studied in greater detail, and this landslide is basically is being monitored on a daily basis. We have got the data being transmitted from that particular place to DTRL on a daily basis. The data is being analyzed, a model is being worked on, because we have got sort of inclinometers, piezometers, tilt meters, all these instruments, they have been installed there, they are working all right, they are giving us the data on a daily basis. That data is being analyzed, a model is worked on, and this year we will be starting the landslide, particularly for the Himalayan region, early warning system on an experimental basis, particularly based on certain parameters, the movement of the slope, as well as the rainfall intensity and duration. So these two parameters being taken into consideration, we will be trying to devise an early warning system, and that will be put to an experimental use. We will try to sort of, in case it is successful, we try to extrapolate that information to the rest of the region, and hopefully we should have a better early warning system for the armed forces, particularly the DGBR, as far as the landslides are concerned. So this is something which is being done on a regular basis. These are some of the works whereby we install all those sensors. These are some of the sensors. And these are some of the data. This is one event, as you can see here. This event basically, that particular very unusual way of behavior of the sensors. And there was a landslide there. So this, we have got a data of only actually 1 year last year. We will have few more years of data. We will try to work out the modalities, how the model can be fine-tuned, and we will try to do the early warning system for the landslides. There is another landslide in near Narendranagar township in the near Vishnu Prayag area. So this area has been now selected along with GSI. So we are partnering GSI in the field of landslide mapping. So we will be working in tandem with them, try to find out the various parameters of landslides in Uttarakhand. And of course, again, as I told you, the climate change and its manifestations, there are different changes the Himalayas have undergone. The response, the glacier is different. The hydrological characteristics of the rivers have changed. The annual discharges, the flood discharges, and of course, it's not only the flora and fauna which have shown migration. It is a natural hazard. Also, they have shown a typical migratory train. This is something very, very unique. Well, the areas which hitherto would never experience that kind of hazard, they have started experiencing those kind of hazards. So this is the way the impacts are quite visible on ground. Armed forces are also affected. Our effort is to make their life simpler, by studying the impacts. So this is something which I will not go into the detail, which we have already studied, how the Himalayas have reacted to the spectrum of climate change, how the temperatures have risen, how the precipitation has gone down, how the effective duration of winter is also affected. In fact, we have got the winter setting late and the spring is advancing. Using the data on ground, we have tried to find out what exactly is the effect on high magnitude precipitation events that are occurring even during the winters that have given rise to number of avalanches which have killed the soldiers. So what is this phenomenon? In what way our soldiers can be saved? And even during the monsoons also these effects are quite perceivable. And as you all know, basically the Himalayas have reacted differently, different ranges have reacted differently. We have tried to map the spectrum of climate change, how Plain Pandas have reacted, how Greater Himalayas have reacted, how Siachen is reacting, how Karakoram have reacted. I will not go into the details, but these all effects have been studied and mitigation strategies have been worked out. These mitigation strategies have been disseminated to the various user agencies. Some of the flood events, the Leh cloudburst was a wake-up call for us. And now, no longer we can take the things for granted. So this is something how the different rivers have changed their hydrological characteristics. Most of the rivers, they are getting lesser and lesser amount of discharge these days. This is something which needs to be worried about. This is something which needs to be factored in when we talk about the very fancy projects of interlinking of rivers, which are based on the premise that all Himalayan rivers are going to be water surplus. They are going to contribute to the river grid down south, which is not going to be the case, gentlemen. The rivers are getting less and less an amount of discharge because of the glacier response. I won't go into the details, but this is the ground reality. We have to factor in this reality and we have to use it to our advantage. So this again, as a result of climate change, even geomorphological hazards are changing. Siachen, as you know, is a serene glacier to view, basically without any blocks. Now, if you just travel on Siachen, you will see the blocks of this kind. You have to see the huge mud flows have occurred. Mud flows are very uncommon in that area. We had rock falls, we had translational landslides, but mud flows which have got a very high water content was a very, very rare and unique phenomenon which has been observed. It's not only in Siachen, the other tributary glaciers also, they have recorded this thing. And as you know, we already analyzed the temperature pattern, we already analyzed the precipitation pattern. They all show increasing trends. So this is the way we have tried to find out. This is the kind of blocks as you can see here. This particular landslide, the mud flow, which is, of course, we are sheer lucky enough. Basically, we didn't have a campsite. Otherwise, our friends across the border, we had a Gary landslide, Gary avalanche, which almost wiped out their brigade. But luckily for us, the Indians, we didn't have a campsite. We got luckily saved there. But this cannot be now taken for granted because different types of natural hazards are now getting experienced in that area. So our armed forces now have to deal with this also, landslides, mud flows, earth flows, because the campsites have to be located at a safer places from the point of view of these hazards. So this is again one more, this is a very unique thing. This is South Tehran Glacier, as you can see here. There is a huge landslide which has taken place. You can see from there. I'll just show you some of the temporal data. Using satellite images, we have been able to find out the dates. The September 98 doesn't show any change. Even 99 also doesn't show any such kind of. But if you see now 2000, there's a huge area which has literally gave in, and it has given rise to a huge mud flow in South Tehran Glacier. Of course, luckily we don't have any deployment in that particular area. But this is a wake-up call for armed forces. We have to factor in all these kind of changes which are occurring in response to the climate change, and this is area where remote sensing, GIS will come to our rescue, because somewhere here, in all the inaccessible areas, we cannot have our observatory set up. It's only through different satellites we can access these areas, collect the information, and make the armed forces aware of these problems. Awareness is a first baby step towards reduction of the casualty. So this is the way I look at it. Thank you.